Chapter 34 The Great Depression Stock Market Crash. During the boom of the 1920s, many people hoped to grow their wealth by speculating in the stock exchange, a market for shares of a company. If a company does well, the value of the stock increases, and the owner can then sell the stock for a profit. During the bull market of the 1920s, people bought stock eagerly because their values were increasing, even though the companies were not worth any more than they had been. Some people bought stocks using borrowed money, which they hoped to pay back with the profit from their stock. People were also buying on margin, which meant they only paid 10% of the stock price initially. They hoped the price would rise quickly so they could resell for a profit. In the middle of 1929, the value of the stock reached a high point, and some people decided to sell their shares. The more people sold, the poorer people wanted to buy, decreasing the value of the stock. On October 29, 1929, a day known as Black Tuesday, the stock market crashed to almost zero value. Many people lost all their money in a single day. During a bull market, stock price rise were expected to rise, so people tend to purchase stock. During a bear market, stock prices fall or are expected to fall, so people tend to sell stocks. The Great Depression. Black Tuesday was the beginning of the Great Depression, the worst economic crisis in American history. Many people had bought stock on the easy credit of the 1920s, but when they defaulted on their loan, bank and stockbroker lost money too. Default, to pay debt. However, the stock market crash was only a small part of the cause of the Great Depression. The illusion of wealth swept the country in the previous decade had led to overproduction in factory and agriculture. In reality, few people could afford to purchase the goods produced. The surplus, the excess, caused the price to fall, which caused the profit to fall, which led companies to lay off their workers due to high unemployment. Even poorer people could afford the goods, causing the cycle snowball to grow and become larger or more intense at an accelerating rate. Anyone who deposited money into a bank account lost it if the bank went out of business. And people with saving in bank saw the loan were being defaulted on. They panicked when withdraw as much money as possible, causing a run on the bank. This put more banks out of business, making it impossible for other businesses to take out loans. Layoff followed, and this process snowballed too. Though economic times in other countries reduced the market for export. Hoover's economics. The president of the start of the Great Depression was Herbert Hoover. During the election of 1928, the Republican Party was credited with the perceived prosperity of the time. So, when the Republican Party nominated Hoover, he was virtually assured a victory. Hoover was a strong believer in laissez-faire economy and small government. Hoover's stance on the Depression was that it was not the job of the federal government to take care of people. Instead, the crisis would take care of itself as part of what many thought was a normal cycle of the economy. High unemployment, hunger, and homelessness were on the rise across the country. 20% of the Americans, 12 million people, were unemployed. Children left school to work or ran away because they felt they were a burden of their parents. Families fell apart. Even when the nation pleaded with the government to act, Hoover refused. The shanty towns that sprang up to house people evicted, expel, eject from their home became known as Hoover Village, Shantytown, the neighborhood of informal houses, usually made from discarded materials. Eventually, Hoover gave in. In 1931, he authorized spending on public work, such as a Boulder Dam, now the Hoover Dam, to create jobs, and in 1932, he agreed to the creation of the Reconstruction Finance Corporation, which made loans to banks and businesses. The bonus army. Hoover's reputation was damaged even more when in the summer of 1932, World War I, veterans who were due to receive bonus pay in 1945 marched on Washington to demand early payment. When Hoover and the Congress refused, some of the protesters stayed in D.C. area Hooverville. Under Hoover's direction, General Douglas MacArthur led the military to drive out the bonus army using tanks and tear gas. Several Great War veterans were killed and the public was shocked. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Hoover ran for president again in 1932, even though he knew that his chance of winning was slim. His Democratic rival, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, was a distant cousin of Teddy Roosevelt, and he was paralyzed from the waist down from polio. Roosevelt had an excellent record of helping the people of New York, where he was governor, and a strong group of advisors known as the Brain Trust helped him with policy. His campaign promised a New Deal for America, and he won the election easily. What do you think? I trust you. What do you think? The first New Deal. In his first inaugural address, FDR famously told the nation that the only thing we have to fear is the fear itself. And he quickly set out to destroy that fear. Roosevelt became president of March 4, 1933, and he called a special session of Congress and is known as the 100 Days. He instituted a bank holiday, closing all banks in the nation for a few days, while the Emergency Banking Relief Act was passed and only reopened the ones that were stable. He then gave the first of his many radio addresses to the nation, Parasite Chart, in which he explained the new banking policy and eased fears. Beginning during the 100 days and continuing until 1935, President Roosevelt instituted the program that comprised the first New Deal, which included the founding of agencies called the Alphabet Agency for World acronym. Federal Emergency Relief Administration, FERA, which helped unemployed. Agricultural Adjustment Administration, AAA, which subsidized fund farmers for occasionally destroying their crop. This kept food supplies low and price high. This policy was controversial, as hunger remained a problem for many people, and yet food was being thrown away. Subsidy, aid, help. money given by the government to help an industry or business to achieve a public goal. Public Works Administration (PWA), which sponsored public work and created jobs,